the fact that we are not getting, apparently, this week, and maybe not next week, we're not getting a delivery from Pfizer of vaccines for COVID-19. Now, I understand how the market works, and I'm not going to criticize Pfizer. Something's happened in the supply chain to slow things down. It's not my point. My point is not that we're not getting them. My point is that about 2 months ago, the Prime Minister assured Canadians that he had secured these already.
Yes.
That's my point. My point is that we were lied to. We were deceived. We were told that everything was under control, that the vaccines had been secured. Now, I'm sorry, look up the definition of secured. Secured doesn't mean I placed the order. Secured doesn't mean they've promised them to us. Secured doesn't mean I've paid for them. Secured means all of those things, plus ultimately I have them in my possession. I have secured them. That's what it means to secure something. But no, we never had them. And now it's a surprise to people because for whatever reason, the planning that they had done, our various governments had done, all of the planning was done around the promise that we would have these, or the promise that we had already secured them, and we haven't. That, to me, that's enough. Haven't. That's enough to throw these guys out of office. And I'm not saying that from a partisan perspective, but Canadians are still giving them high marks for their reaction to this pandemic. I mean, you go to Quebec, the majority of people in Quebec think that curfews are the right way to go.
And yet there's no evidence to support that.
You know? And in Ontario, if the polls in Ontario say that people, the majority of Ontarians believe that stay-at-home orders are effective and the right thing. The government is right to have imposed them, despite the fact that nobody's staying at home.
And on top of that, those same people also say they don't believe it'll work, which is why they're not staying home.
I don't know anymore, Nick. But back to taxes. Again,
yes, let's go back to taxes.
I emphasize, like you, Nick, I'm a responsible citizen. I pay taxes. I pay my taxes. I grumble sometimes that I go, I don't think I should be paying so much tax for this or that or the other thing. But I recognize there are a lot of things that we get for the taxes that we pay. Okay? Whether we should have to pay for them, whether the government should be providing some of these services or not, separate argument, separate discussion. But we pay our taxes, and we pay our taxes willingly because we're responsible citizens. But you're coming to me in this, I know I said it already, but I got to say it again. You're coming to me in this environment, okay, and you're telling me I have to pay more taxes, and you're doing it in this environment. At the same time, you're telling me that we also have to pay the former Governor General $160,000 a year for life pension. For life. Not to mention $200,000 a year expense account. For life. I don't know, Nick. Something smells out there, okay, and it ain't the cheese in Denmark.
Yeah, well, even if it was.
You see, I've left Nick speechless.
Yeah, okay. I'm just trying to think. If I thought there was... See, what the problem I think that you and I have here is that we have a problem that a lot of conservatives do. We try to fight emotion with logic. And that's a loser's game. You cannot fight emotion with logic and win.
So how do we fight it, Nick? Because I'm darn emotional right now.
Well, you know what? I think if you use emotion and logic at the same time without getting stupid, like when somebody challenges us on some of the things that we believe, or we make a comment, and they say, "Oh, you're just and call you some kind." Okay, great. Now we have that figured out. Why don't we deal with the issue at hand? Why do you support something like blah, blah, blah? And if they get emotional, I say, look, okay, fine, get emotional if you want to, but you're not dealing with the question. I asked you a straightforward question. Why do you support this? I want an answer. Don't walk away. Don't tell me that I'm crazy. Don't tell me that somehow, I'm wrong just because you don't think to see it that way. Did it ever occur to you that maybe there's 2 points of view? So anyway, you got to fight fire with fire in this case. And what we need is someone who isn't afraid to stand up on the block, take the heat, and give it right back. Remember when Ben Shapiro was on with Pierce Morgan?
Right.
Is that his name?
Yeah, Pierce Morgan.
Pierce Morgan? Okay. He was talking about Second Amendment. And the very first thing he did was psychologically punch him right in the throat. He said, look, here's the Second Amendment. You obviously haven't read it. You don't understand it. And you're making your case on the bodies of the kids from Sandy Hook. I won't go into all the gory details of what the conversation was about. But what he did was he took his knees out from underneath him before he ever got a chance to say a word. And all Piers Morgan was left with was, how dare you? How dare you? He said, it's easy. I'm just telling you what you're doing. I see you do it all the time. And he was just as fired up as Piers Morgan was, and he clearly slaughtered him, and everybody knew it. So you've got to have passion. You've got to be able to be articulate. Like, people a lot of times will confuse passion with anger. Okay, they think that just because your voice goes up in tenor and you tend to project a little more energy, that they think you're angry. Well, it's not anger, it's passion. And they don't understand it. I'm passionate about this issue, and I'm not going to be put off by stupid names, childish tactics, or sandbox mentality. If you're honestly consider yourself adult, then engage me and tell me why you feel this way. We can have a discussion about it. And that's how I think the only way forward is. And until we find somebody who's willing to do that, we're going to spend a long time in the wilderness.
Well, Nick, I'm coming to the point in time when I'm thinking spending a long time in the wilderness maybe ain't such a bad thing.
You know what? I'm not going to argue with that. I would love to be out in a cabin with a fire going, no electronics around me anywhere, just watching the snowfall, enjoying the wonders of nature, and not worrying about any of this stuff. But I can't do that. I can't do that. Because underneath it all, and I know this is going to sound self-serving, but I care not only about my country, but about my fellow citizens, my fellow man. I want them to understand that what's going on to them is not good. I want them to know that, there's more to life than what the liberals offer. Just going to work every day. Do you realize that right now we are in a golden age, and I'm keeping an eye on the clock here, that with e-commerce blooming the way that it is, people have the opportunity, if they want to put out the effort and take a little bit of a financial risk, to make huge amounts of money and change their own fortunes without a single penny from the government. They could do that if they wanted to. Now, I'm not saying everybody has to, but the opportunities we have in our country, even at this moment, with as much destruction going on, are immense and mind-blowing when you understand them. And that's what I'd like them to focus on. You know what? It would be fun. Just say, forget the government. Don't pay any attention to those idiots. Let's go out and earn more money. Let's go out and find a way to increase your lifestyle. Let's help build the economy by buying the luxury items and the different bits and pieces of life that it takes to run an economy, and start it that way. Because people get excited when they find out that it's not just a dead-end job. And you know what? You've heard the term people are in a rut. The definition of a rut is a grave with both ends kicked out. And I don't want to live that way, and I don't think most people do, given the opportunity.
Yeah, amen, brother, amen. Or a woman, brother, a woman.
No, it's okay. We can live with the amen.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm watching the clock here, Nick, and we're coming to the end of another frenetic, we haven't used that word for a while, show. So, ladies and gentlemen, I just want to take the opportunity to thank you for listening. You are why we do it, aside from the fact that we do need to blow off the steam sometimes, just ourselves. But,
no kidding.
But for the most part, you guys are the reasons that we do it. So I will leave you with that thought and just ask you, ladies and gentlemen, please tell your friends, your neighbors, your relatives, your family, your near family, your extended family, post our shows on, if you're listening to us on the podcast, share with your social media. We would love to be welcomed into your homes or on your radio or wherever else you could catch the podcast. In the meantime, ladies and gentlemen, God bless. Have a great week. And over to you, Nick.
All right, folks. Thank you all again for joining us. I'm just echoing the words Joseph said. And in the meantime, until we meet again, Ubiqueritas ad amor, Deo CBS. Good evening. God bless. Don't let anything disturb your peace. And may you have a fair wind in the following sea.